So when I was 6 years old, my family went up to visit my grandparents. They live in Wathena, Kansas. It's right all the way northeast Kansas, kind of right on the Missouri border. And if you're going to do anything, you got to go to St. Joe, Missouri. And so at the time, my mom, can you hear me? So, or does somebody just really love St. Joe, Missouri? Oh my gosh, yeah. I didn't know there was anybody, but that's all right. So my mother wanted to do some shopping, and so she took her little 6-year-old with her. At the time, my mom was a pretty successful businesswoman. Not that she's not anymore, but she was then. And so she wore a lot of these kind of double-breasted suits with the shoulder pads, lots of buttons and things, probably like pastel colors, real classy lady. And so we're in the mall, and eventually we find ourselves in kind of the female power suit section in JCPenney's. And I'm really liking it because their suits are on the circular racks, and so I can like dive in the center of it and disappear, and go from one rack to another. And 6-year-old heaven, I'm just bouncing around, and she doesn't really care. There's really nobody in the St. Joe Mall. So at one point, I'm inside this circular rack, and I noticed that on the sleeve, like right at the cuff of this jacket, there's a gold button. And it's in a little plastic bag. And I open up the bag and I pull out the gold button, and I'm like, this is amazing. This is treasure. And I'm hooked. I put it in my pocket, and now it's like James Bond, the heist is on. I am going from clothing rack to clothing rack. I'm diving in the center, and I'm pulling sleeves into me, trying to find the like fanciest, shiniest, some with like anchors and ships on it. I mean, I've got them all. And soon my mom calls to me, we're ready to go. She bought her stuff, and so my pockets are full. And so we go out, and this is late 80s. There's no I don't have to sit in a car seat as a 6-year-old, so she never has to pat me down. So I get away with all of this loot. And we get back to my grandparents' house, and I go back to the back bedroom where I'm staying. And I hadn't packed in a suitcase like a normal kid. I had a old briefcase. For some reason, is what I had packed in, and it was, faux leather, blue, and I open it up, and along the top of the briefcase are all these pockets, and I'm just unloading all of my treasure into these pockets, and, I check on it a couple times throughout the day, all there, we're good. Into the evening, now I'm sitting in the living room with my grandparents, and we're watching Hee Haw, if anybody knows what that is, and I hear my full name, which is never a good sign. Jacob Roy Will. And it's coming from the back of the house. And so I'm sulking back to that room like I kind of already know what's happened. And sure enough, I walk in the bedroom, briefcase open, all of my treasure, all of my buttons are out on the bed. And my mom is, where did you get these? And, my head down, and I'm explaining that, yes, I did. I took them off of all the jackets and dresses at JCPenney. And I'm really afraid, I don't know what kind of trouble I'm in, but then I hear the worst thing. She says, tomorrow morning, before we go home, we are going back to JCPenney, and you are returning every one of these. And I am terrified. I am freaked out. If I thought my mom was scary, I really think department store ladies are the worst. They're real scary. They got big curl hair, too much makeup on, and they sit behind this giant box of a desk and run the store. I don't know what kind of trouble I'm in, but I can't sleep at night. I keep thinking about, Penny's jail for children. And I really think these buttons are priceless heirlooms. I was thrilled to have this much loot. It was ridiculous. So the next morning, we load up, and it's just me and my mom. We go back to Penny's, and I remember walking down the aisles, straight to the thing. And I'm 6 years old, and I have so many buttons that it takes 2 hands, and I raise them up, and I tell the lady I'm really sorry I stole all these buttons. And it's got to be the most adorable thing. I've seen pictures of myself at 6. I know this is super cute. There's no way I'm getting in trouble for this, but at the time, I am freaked out. There is no Penny's jail. I don't get in trouble. The lady actually tells me, like, oh, thank you so much. We would not be able to sell these if you hadn't have brought them back. And I'm like, whatever, bullshit. But so I'm so relieved. We're going out of the store, and I remember telling my mom, like, oh, I thought this was going to be terrible, and I'm just like, la da 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 da. And she's still just scolding me, like, never do this again, over and over again. We get back to my grandparents' house, and we're packing up, and I'm throwing everything back into my briefcase. And my mom comes into the room, and she opens up her hand, and she gives me the button off of the suit jacket that she had purchased. I take it, and I put it in one of the pockets of my briefcase and close it down. And I really think she was trying to teach me that a treasure received is worth so much more than a treasure stolen. Thank you.